Hey, Darcy.
Hey, Matt.
Awesome, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you. How
Yeah,
you doing?
man. That background really is banging.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot there, dude.
Yeah, I'm in my heaven. I'm in my dream world.
It's cool. Nice patio
Life
too.
by design.
What do you look over there? You got a nice view too. Holy
Yeah.
smokes. Gorgeous. Huge patio.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Wow,
The
look
view
at
just
that.
keeps on going.
You got like a 180-degree
My
view there too.
library.
That's cool. That's perfect.
Yeah.
There's a few books that I always keep like right on hand too that I usually use or reference during calls, and so I'll quickly be able to grab and flip open to a page that's helpful or relevant.
Appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's awesome. I love these books, and I know you're going to ask me about my books that I like to read and stuff like that. It took me a while to like take it down to just one, two, three, four, five, six, seven most influential books out of this pile. And this is just the pile I brought on the road.
that's cool. I love that,
Yeah.
man. Good for you.
It is cool. It is cool because I was a guy that didn't read
Right. You
before I
mentioned it.
started studying
Yeah.
this material, right? So
Yeah. Well, I can relate to that. That's for sure. Yeah, same.
yeah, same.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had this belief that I wasn't a very good reader because I wasn't engaging with the material. And so I never remembered any of it. And I kind of, so I just, that belief drove my behavior. I thought, well, I'm not a good reader anyway. So why read?
Yeah, yeah, same. Similar.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple people in the waiting room. I'll let them in. And then I know that there's a few more people that are joining us. So they might be a little bit late, but we'll get started.
Sure. I'll just hang out.
Cool. Awesome. Well, hi, hello, and welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm very excited for today's call. We have a very special guest today, as you guys are aware. We have Darcy Henneberry joining us today, and I'm really excited for our conversation. We're going to get into mindset, motivation, and everything manifestation. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them at Darcy, either as they come to mind or write them down and make sure that you save them for the end. That's what he's here for. So I just want to welcome you, Darcy. I sure appreciate you joining us today. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to speak with you and for you to speak to some of our team.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. I'm privileged to have the opportunity to chat with you guys.
Awesome. So, for those of you who don't know Darcy, I've had the distinct pleasure of having the opportunity to meet with Darcy on a weekly basis as part of my mastermind group for what has it been now, Darcy? Maybe it's like
Better part of year and a
18
half to two
months.
years. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
something like
somewhere
that,
in there.
right? Yeah. So we've had the opportunity to get together and share ideas and mastermind together for about a year and a half. And let me tell you, I've learned a ton from Darcy. And I think I've shared with you guys a couple of times that I've been in the hot seat and had some questions thrown my way where I was squirming. And I say that if you're not squirming, you're not learning. And that was thanks to this guy right here. So it just speaks to the importance of having people around us that push us to grow and to elevate and raise our standards. So like I said, it's been an honor to have that opportunity with Darcy, and it's an honor to have him here today. So Darcy Henneberry is an elite level mindset coach himself, and he is the founder and operator of a company called Imagine Consulting. So I was curious, Darcy. I was really intrigued by even just the name of your company. But tell me, why did you settle on Imagine Consulting, and what does that mean to you?
Oh, great question. Well, firstly, hi again, everybody. It's nice to see you. I love the squirming learning quote you just threw out there. If you're squirming, you're learning, and I appreciate you reminding me of that. It's a really smart one to remember. And I was squirming a lot at the end of last week. I'll tell you that. So I learned a lot through that experience. So if you're not squirming, you're not learning. Like Matt said, if you're squirming, you're learning. And who's had an experience of squirming this today already? Yeah, good. So we're all in the right spot. I love it. Well, Imagine Consulting is a name that ended up coming out of my imagination, coincidentally enough. When I first started studying this material, now I started right at the beginning of COVID. COVID happened, and my plans had to make some changes. I was going to actually move to Montreal and live there for 6 months, just to experience the culture and meet some people and things like that. And of course, they shut down Montreal, so I ended up staying back, and I ended up studying this material. And what I've learned through studying this material is that it all starts with our imagination. You're only as good as you allow your imagination to be. You can literally not outperform your imagination. It's not possible, because we become what we think about. And where do our thoughts start? They start in our imagination. I'm sure Matt has talked with everybody here about the steps of manifestation, steps of creation, and the very first step is the imagination. It's pre-word. It's like that belief system, those paradigms or programs that are within us, and we can access that power, that imagination, to formulate pictures and words in our mind. And then we have a really awesome opportunity, which is to choose whether or not we want to go after those images, that life that we can imagine. And that's the power in the work that we're studying here. It was Napoleon Hill, just a couple quick quotes here, because this is part of what formed the desire to generate this name as Imagine Consulting. And just so I'm very clear, I called it Imagine Consulting because that's the nucleus of what we're creating, right? It comes from the imagination. So Napoleon Hill said all the breaks that you ever need in life will originate within your imagination. All of them. All of the breaks that you will ever need in life will originate in your imagination. The imagination is the workshop of your mind, capable of turning mind energy into accomplishment and wealth. So that was Napoleon Hill. And then Neville Goddard, another one of the authors that I love to read, he talks about how imagination is the God within. So has anybody read any Neville Goddard yet? Okay, so Neville Goddard's a great author, like I said, that I really enjoy. And he talks about how there is no God separate from us. And when you start to really study universe and how we're all one mind, and get into quantum physics and things of that nature, you really start to understand that we are all one being, one consciousness, and that God is within us. And that originates within our imagination. Like literally, your imagination is the God within. It's the creative center of your soul. It's who you are, and we can imagine really amazing things that we want to live into our life, or we can imagine restrictions, limitations. Why not? They all come from our imagination too. It all stems from your imagination, and you simply can't outperform it.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I love that you can't outperform your imagination. Pow, or punch to the gut, man. We just got off of our own mindset call, and Delynn shared some of the things that she's been working on, some of the things of that nature. And man, I'll tell you, that to me just speaks of the importance of surrounding yourself with people who open up your mind and your imagination, and who are able to lend you ideas to develop even further, and that kind of thing, just to open up your mind to what might be possible. Because I know that for me, I spent a vast majority of my life doing exactly what you just described there, focusing my imagination on what could go wrong, and what all of the like possible pitfalls were. And I never really had anybody in my circle to really like encourage me to dream bigger, or to see further into the future, and to imagine what I could create. That's a special thing.
Yeah, and when I asked earlier, when I got when I felt the squeeze or the squirming at the end of last week, it was the imagination that was doing it to me. There was literally no evidence for what was going on in my mind. And this brings me to fear. Actually, fear, I heard as an acronym, is false evidence appearing real. And I put myself out there. I was doing some things that were outside of my comfort zone, really moving the needle, and at the end of it, I then went into this place where my mind went to why it wasn't going to work out, even though there was literally no evidence for that. And the power of this work that Matt is teaching everyone here is that we can become aware of when our mind is doing that, when our imagination is creating an outcome that we actually don't want. And if you like, who's had that experience where you're like aware of the fact that you're creating an outcome you don't want? And that's what we do out of ignorance. That's what all of us have been trained to do. We focus on the negative, we focus on what we don't want. And so because of this material, I was able to convert that energy as it was happening into what it is that I do want. And I avoided a pretty significant tailspin that I would have put myself down. And that also originated in the imagination. It all is from the imagination.
Yeah, it's such an easy thing to do, isn't it? To
Yeah.
go back to that default setting. And I think that it's only with that awareness and with practice and with repetition that you can begin to start to gain control of that, maybe even master it at some point. But yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you, Darcy. How important is visualization to you? And like, or maybe put another way, like, what are some of the like craziest things that you've ever visualized or manifested?
Well, it's good, like, what is it, transition, because where do you visualize but within your imagination, right? The imagination is the mental faculty that we use to visualize. I mean, that's what it is. It's an image making machine, is the imagination, right? And we think in images. So we're ultimately constantly visualizing. It's just, what do we want to be visualizing? So what's your direct question? Because I've kind of already started going off.
Yeah, that's okay. Just like
What my practice is?
how important is your visualization practice to you?
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that you've used to your visualization practice or your imagination to manifest or to
To
create?
manifest. Okay. Well, this place, for one, this is a real background. Some people keep thinking, is that a real background? Yeah, it's real. And
I love it.
so, this is my life by design, and I'll be happy to explain that in a second. But let's start with the tools. The I Does everybody have a morning routine, like a really strict morning routine? Kind of getting there. Yeah, yeah. Jamie. Um, so my morning routine is the moment I start to become conscious, the moment I start to come out of the dream world. And if you've studied neuroscience, you would understand that our brainwave patterns. So I'll just say them really briefly. Like right now, we're in beta, and there's multiple stages of beta, and then you go into alpha. Alpha is the bridge between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Beta being the conscious mind, theta and delta being subconscious, right? And then you get into gamma. But alpha is that bridge between the conscious and the subconscious mind, the beta and the theta mind. And when we're sleeping, we go into theta. As we wake up, we go into beta. And there's an opportunity there that most of us miss, and I always missed it until I became aware of it. And that is that we can actually move from theta through alpha into beta, but we can actually stay in alpha for a bit. And most of us just go right from theta to beta, and boom, we pick up the phone and we're thinking about our worries and our challenges of the day, and that we're tired or didn't get enough sleep or whatever. We go right to the negative. So the opportunity that I've found is to stay within that alpha mind. And I do this by not opening my eyes. So the moment that I start to come out of dream world and I start becoming conscious, I go right into affirmation mode. I start creating the person that I am, that I'm becoming. Now I say I am because you have to be it to becoming. You have to be it. You are it. Whatever you declare as you are is the person that you're becoming. And so as soon as I'm waking up, and before I even open my eyes, I start to affirm the person that I'm becoming. And, it's whatever comes to my mind. It could be about leaving people with an impression of increase. It could be about the in particular individual that I'm becoming. I call my future self-image $1,000,000 Darcy. And who is that person? Well, he's an international world-class mentor, speaker, and leader. And so I remind myself that before I even open my eyes, I go right into, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm an international world-class mentor, speaker, and leader. I make a difference for people. I go the extra mile. I leave everyone I meet with an impression of increase. You work with me, your life gets better. This is the type of stuff that I say as I'm coming out of dreamland and even before I open my eyes. Then I open my eyes and I really go into high gear. I go into visualization, sit up, I kind of meditate for a minute. I close my eyes. Meditating is really just closing your eyes and going with it. I mean, it's really that simple. So I close my eyes and I meditate for a minute, meaning that I take some big, deep breaths and I really sink into that internal space that when you close your eyes, if you close your eyes right now, you close your eyes, you see that like blackness, or maybe it's got colors, or it's got like light or whatever. Everybody's a bit different. And I just hone in on that. And then I visualize my day. From the moment that I'm about to get out of bed, I visualize my day. And I started that practice probably when I first started learning this material, actually. And this goes to your second question. One day I thought to myself, I should go for a run. And I'm not a big runner. So I was like, oh, okay, sure, let's go for a run. And I was at a mountain, and it was summertime. And I thought to myself, okay, let's make this extra challenging. Let's use this material and see if I can make this work. And you know, I've got all the reasons why I can. Like, I'm not a runner. I've got bad asthma. I haven't ran forever. All this stuff, right? And so I sit in the chair in my place, and I close my eyes. I go into the meditation mode, and I visualize from the moment of getting out of the chair to going and using the washroom, getting the water, putting the shoes on, going outside. And I did the entire run down the hill, up the mountain, around the corner, all the way along to another area, turn around, come back, and up the place, up the mountain, and then up this road, and then stop at the stop sign was the trip. And I accomplished it. I did not stop running. And on the biggest hills, I remember suddenly affirming, pain is fuel. Pain is fuel. I would write that down if I were you, because I use that affirmation all the time. When I start feeling pain, I convert that to fuel. Previously, if I felt that pain in my legs as I'm running, that pain's going to stop me. Now I convert the idea of the pain as fuel to thrive, to push me forward. Oh, I can't remember the boxer's name right now. But there was a boxer, very famous. We all know him. And
Muhammad Ali.
What's Muhammad Ali? Okay, that was the name that came to my mind. But okay, I see, we can all have a lot of doubt in our minds that just stopped us. Yeah, it was Muhammad Ali. So he said that he would only start counting his push-ups once he actually started to experience pain, which I think is
the only ones that count.
They're the only ones that count. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So and yeah, so I you know, that's one story. So that's how I wake up in the morning. That's how I use visualization. And then it's not enough to just visualize for 10 minutes before you get out of bed and then go back into your regular day, because feeling is the secret. It is about feeling. We have to feel it. The universe communicates through feeling. And so saying affirmations or visualizing a nice day or what it is that you want is the first step. But not only do you have to feel it while you're in it, you've got to maintain that feeling throughout the day. And you've got to remind yourself that you are that person that you desire to be and continue to live into that person. So it's a matter of doing it all day long. It's not enough just to do affirmations for 10 minutes in the morning and then go about your day like you normally would and get impacted and react to external circumstances. You must continually alter it in your mind as you go throughout your day.
I love that. What a great little reminder. And it's true. You know, I say the same thing about meditation. That meditation is not just a practice that you want to use to get better at meditation. You want to use to get better at life. It's about bringing those tools into how you live your life, how you express yourself, the energy, your attitude, all throughout the day, not just in those 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes that you're doing that practice. I love that. What an empowering habit, and what an empowering way to start your day with that kind of attitude, with that kind of energy, and with that kind of intention. Like, that's unreal. We have some people here who own their own business, and some people who are starting their own business. And you shared something on our mastermind call this morning that just even in the last couple of weeks, you've been using some of these tools to attract clients from some interesting parts of the world too, and to build your client base and to impact the lives of other people. So tell me a little bit about that, or take me deeper
Sure,
there. How did that work?
sure, absolutely. Well, this is why I say the how is irrelevant. So in goal setting and goal achieving, the how is irrelevant, and it can really hold us back. So stop trying to predict the how. Just focus on the what, focus on the desire. So one of my affirmations being, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm an international world-class leader, speaker, and mentor. And that means that I have clients all around the world. Well, up until last week, I only had clients in Canada. But while I was traveling, I went to the conference for consciousness and human evolution in San Diego 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I guess now. While I was there, I'm meeting people and leaving everyone I meet with an impression of increase. It turned out that two of those people that I met during that week have now become my clients, and one lives in the US and the other lives in Mexico. So I now am an international mentor, and then having the opportunity to speak with you. So I think that's what you're relating to, right? Is how what you focus on is what you will experience. We become what we think about. Just let go of the how, because you don't know how you can't predict how it's going to unfold. And if you try to predict how it's going to unfold, a couple of things happen in my experience. One, you hold yourself back, because then you're you won't even take action, because you're trying to be like, okay, well, I got to do step A, B, and C before I can do step D. And the reality is, no, you can actually do step D before you get to step A. There's no need to think linearly. And then step two, or the second point is that you get stuck in that how, and you don't actually take any action. And what we don't know is that there are so many other paths to the attainment of our desire that we can't even predict. How many other paths? Turns out, from my understanding, it's unlimited, infinite even. And so all we need to do is focus on the goal achieved. Be that now. Be the person that you want to be in the future, that has whatever car you want, that's living whatever life you want to live. And then start being that person today. Don't worry about how it's going to unfold, but always go the extra mile. Leave everyone you meet with an impression of increase. Learn and grow every day. Take inspired action that comes to your mind today. Make massive, imperfect action, and then it'll just happen. It actually just happens. And because there's an infinite number of possibilities of how something can unfold, if you leave yourself open to the unknown, then the unknown will actually come forth, and you'll be ready to take action on those ideas. Luck, as they say, is preparedness meeting opportunity. The opportunities will come. Are you prepared to say yes?
Yeah, I love that. And I think even further to that point there, Darcy, is sometimes when you get so fixated on the how and you expect it to happen a certain way, when other opportunities come or arise, you're not looking for them, and maybe you're not even open to them, and they might just pass you right by because you're so convinced that it's going to happen one specific way. And
Yeah.
I shared with a few people in the past that, prior to having clients across Western Canada, I was speaking that into existence. And that was a part of my affirmation that, moving from Saskatchewan to BC, I wanted to have clients across Western Canada. And I was saying that way before it was ever true. And then I had a realization that why would I limit myself to just Western Canada? Like, come on, man. Like, you're just playing small. And so I have since been changing my affirmation to having international clients, very similar to what you just described there. And again, though, I made the mistake of expecting, well, it was probably just going to come from the States. I mean, we speak the same language, we share a border that's in proximity, that kind of thing. And I had started attracting clients from countries like India and the Philippines. And in my mind, when those opportunities came up, I was like, no, who are all these people from India? Like, let's focus on the States. And then I thought, duh, and it kind of hit me where it's like, wait, this is an answer to your prayer. It's just coming in a different form than you were expecting. And, I've shared with you guys now that, my workbook Unstuck is being translated into 2 separate languages in India. they speak like 40 different languages. I didn't know that, but
Mm.
um, two separate languages in India. And on the workshop that I did on Saturday, there were people that were joining us from the Philippines. Somebody had registered from Mexico, from San Diego, and from India. And I just think, wow, like that's pretty cool. But it
Mhm.
speaks to the importance of speaking that into existence and then being open to what comes back.
Mhm. 100%.
So I just love that. Well, thanks for sharing that, Darcy. That's super cool. So, obviously you're very involved and immersed in this material. As you're speaking, I'm hearing different voices and different people, and I hear like a little bit of Dr. Joe Dispenza and things like that, and some of the adage or the verbiage that he uses. But who have been some of your like most influential authors, or what have been some of your like favorite readings or favorite books that have had an impact on you in your life?
So Dr. Joe is one of them, actually. I travel, so I'm traveling right now, and I'm living in this home for 5 weeks, and then I'm going to a new place and living there for 5 weeks to experience new cultures and things of that nature. And there's a lot more to that, which we can get into if you like. But yeah, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural, is one of them. I brought up the travel because I've got this whole library right beside me. I literally packed a full suitcase full of books because
Cool.
I love reading this material and studying it. And so, Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe was one of the first books that I got into to learn the scientific side of manifestation, getting into quantum physics, neuroscience, neuroendocrinology, etc. Epigenetics, and that really helped me balance what I was learning about the spirituality side of manifestation, converting energy to matter. And then this allowed me to understand more of the scientific side. Dr. Joe, if you're not familiar with him, he is a leading scientist in this field. Other books, I mean, Earl Nightingale, Lead the Field, tremendous. If you really want to get technical and like kind of allow your brain to blow up a couple of times a sentence, definitely, yeah. There's Matt's version. So you want to get this book. This is Thomas Troward. The Hidden Power is phenomenal. Neville Goddard. If you don't have this book, you've got to have it. It's Neville Goddard collection. It's phenomenal. Well, every single one of these is phenomenal. Now, the very first book that I read was Think and Grow Rich by
Mm.
Napoleon Hill. It's the 17 Principles of Success. And lots of really interesting things about this one. I mean, he wrote this book during the Great Depression while he was working at the White House. And then this is an interesting side note. He after the Great Depression was over, he left the White House and he was preparing to launch this book, and he reread it, and the energy he received from it was really negative. It had this like energy force of negativity, of despair, and that is because he wrote this in an environment of despair, and that actually went into the world. So he actually rewrote this word for word. He converted his energy and rewrote this word for word and put a different level of intention in it, and that's the book we have today, called Think and Grow Rich. I think that's pretty fascinating because it's not enough to push yourself and get out of your comfort zone and do things. I was speaking with a client. He's like, "Yeah, I'll take action no matter how I'm feeling." I'm like, "That's awesome. Like, definitely, that's great." But before you actually take the action, convert the energy, because it's the intention, it's the energy that you take the action in that causes the law of cause and effect to bring back to you that which you put out into the universe. You put out energy, you receive energy on the same frequency, and so you want to make sure that you're putting that energy out in a very positive and intentional way, which then brings you to the Divine Matrix by Greg Braden. He really goes into quantum physics here, quantum theory, and talks about that matrix that we're in. When you start going down this path, you start getting into an understanding that the three-dimensional world that we live in is all just an illusion. And it was Einstein that said our 3D world is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. And science has started to really prove that. and to the point where, you know, they're talking about holographic experiences and things of that nature. It's all the way down to our DNA. So that's super fascinating. He gets into the science of all that. And lastly, I'll talk about the science of getting rich. It's a
Mm.
really easy book to read. This book actually has 2 books in it, I think. And yeah, the science of getting rich, and it's escaping me, the science of being great. So that's
Mm.
really awesome. Now, what's interesting is that I was not a reader before I started studying this material. Like before COVID, I didn't really read much at all. And now I'm a voracious reader. And not only do I read a lot of books, but I study them. So I have a library of books, but you know, with my Audible, I've got nearly 200 books now. You know, and I started 2.5 years ago. So my process is when somebody mentions a book that I harmonize with, I download it on Audible and I listen to it. And then if I want to study it, I get the hardcover book, or like just the physical copy of the book,
Right.
and then I study it. And that's definitely what you want to do as well, in my opinion. Study the material.
So
Repetition's key learning.
repetition is key. Yeah. You said something there that you weren't a reader. You didn't consider yourself a reader. Tell
Yeah.
me a little more about that, or what changed
Well,
for you.
I remember in high school in humanities class where, you know, the teacher would, like, we would be reading, and you know, you have your rows of desks, and then what would happen is we would start, you know, top left corner, and I'd be like in the middle of the class, right? And we'd go one paragraph and then switch to the next reader, and we'd go in the line. So I would count how many seats it was to get to me. It sounds like Jamie had a very similar experience. And then I would read my paragraph over and over and over and over again, so that by the time it got to me, I had some level of hope of getting through this paragraph. And that was my experience. So I had an image of myself as being a poor reader. And lots of evidence, lots of evidence. I really had a hard time back in high school. I was a C- student, and yeah, so I had tons of evidence for my lack of ability to read, and then therefore didn't have a desire to read. The truth is, though, that it was never that I was a bad student or not capable, because I actually moved to Japan for grade 11, and I took grade 11 in Japan, and learned a lot of new study skills there. And I killed it and learned the language really well, and I learned everything really well. And I came back and I totally aced grade 11 and grade 12 in 1 year, because I had to still do a lot of studies from here. And what changed? Like, I was still the same person. And what changed? The only thing that changed was my desire.
Mm.
It was my desire. My desire level shifted. I became more aware of what it is that I wanted and the purpose behind the studying of it, you know, and so desire, purpose, decision, these are all critical components to success. And you've got experiences like that all throughout your life, where you've desired something and you've been able to make a difference in how you operate in order to get that which you desire.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Wow. There's a lot to unpack there. I I want to be mindful and respectful of everybody's time here. But does anybody have any questions for Darcy?
Yeah, you mentioned about being stuck in the how, and I think a lot of us here kind of get stuck in the how. And I just wanted to ask, when did you really start having a strong belief or trusting the universe that your desires are going to come true? Like, did you have to start small, or did you just go big and go home and just practice meditating longer, or how did you get to where you are now?
Good question. So when I first came across my first mentor, which I share with Matt, the the question, the goal that I harmonized with, the goal that I decided to go after, because it was so far beyond the house, so crazy, was to convert my annual income to my monthly income. And now this is 2020. So in 2019, I made 144 grand. And 2019 was the second year that I made over 6 figures. And so, like, that was the big goal, was to get to 6 figures. And if I ever got to 6 figures a year, life would be amazing, right? And then yeah, I did just over 6 figures. Then I got to 144. And so then the idea was floated by me to 12x my income. And I thought to myself, my God. Well, one, that would be amazing. I don't even know what life would look like. Two, I mean, first question is, do I want it? And I was like, yeah, of course I want that, obviously. And then I was like, I can't even write it down. I'm so scared. Like, I don't know what life looks like, and I probably got to go change my diaper now that I'm thinking about this too much, because you know what I mean. So, so that's I harmonized with that idea, but I didn't quite believe it, and I used affirmations to convert that idea from a hope and a wish to a belief. You tell yourself something often enough, and you will believe it. And there's evidence of that in today's media and many, many different areas, that when we tell ourselves something enough, we will believe it. And so I did affirmations that I'm so happy and grateful now that I earn $144,000 each and every month with bliss and ease. I'm happy and grateful now that I make $144,000 each and every month with bliss and ease. I leave everyone I meet with an impression of increase. You work with me, your life gets better, right? That kind of stuff. And I would say it over and over and over again. Now, that was an idea that I created as my very first goal in studying this material, and that was in May of 2020. September of 2020 was when I decided to believe it. Okay, I had studied enough of the material, and I decided I'd believe it. That was after digging into this material. That was after reading Think and Grow Rich. That was after studying Dr. Joe Dispenza, and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to start believing this, and I really went after it. It was January of 2021 when I earned 144,000 and change, like to the penny. What's really cool, to answer your question about the how, is I had no idea how I was going to do it. And what's also really cool is that I only earned $24,000 in January. Yet I attracted $120,000. I knew in December that $120,000 was going to land in my bank account, and I also could predict that I was going to generate roughly around $20,000 in earned revenue. And so going into January, I knew I had it. And then I made a final sale of some kind. I can't remember exactly what now. That brought me to exactly $144,000 and change. The trick is that 120 of that, I did not do anything except to say yes to opportunities. Say yes to a particular opportunity that came my way, and I just kept saying yes. And then somebody would go away and they do a bunch of work. They come back to me, and how about this of this? Yes. Okay, so I just kept saying yes to an opportunity, not worrying about how that was going to unfold or the impacts of it. I was just saying yes. Trust what you attract. Trust that it'll all unfold for your benefit. And yeah, January of 2021 was the first month I made exactly my goal, plus some change, a few $100 over. And a huge component of that, I did not do anything other than say yes to the universe.
That's amazing.
That's a great point there.
I've got another story if we've got the time for it.
I do, yeah, for sure. I just want to say one thing real quick here, and kind of relates to something we were talking about last week, but also on today. Yeah, Tamara's got a little extra time too. You said saying yes to the opportunity and saying yes to the universe. And this is something that continues to come up. And there's a line that I continue to remind myself of, which is the only difference between you and somebody who's already achieved your goals is they've accepted ideas that you continue to reject.
Yeah.
And that's just, again, accepting those opportunities, accepting those ideas, and not putting up those walls and saying, well, I can't because, or I'm not this, and here's why, and just accepting those ideas. The only difference between you and somebody who's achieved your goal is that they're in the habit of accepting ideas that you have yet to accept.
So I love that. And it just makes me ask a question to myself, which I'll answer later when I'm doing my thinking period. What ideas am I currently rejecting that would move me toward my goal
faster? That's a powerful question.
So the other story is I now drive a Porsche. And how did that happen? And I'm now living in this home. How did that happen? I'm living $1 Million Darcy's life. I created $1 Million Darcy when I generated that $144,000 goal per month, and I created his self-image. And I thought, you know, I was driving a Mazda CX-5 at the time, fairly brand new, so I was doing well. But what does $1 Million Darcy drive? Well, he drove a Ferrari in my imagination. And so every time I would walk toward my red Mazda, I actually walked toward my red Ferrari. And every time I turned on the red Mazda, I turned on the red Ferrari. And as I drove away from my parking spot, I drove a Ferrari. And as I was driving down the street, I'd be like, hey, yeah, I'm driving a Ferrari. Can you believe it? I know, right? So I was experiencing the Ferrari. What's really cool is that our three-dimensional world is an illusion. And it's an illusion that you can alter through the power of your mind. And in any moment, you don't need to be where you are right now. You can be in something else. So while I was physically in a Mazda CX-5, I was mentally in a Ferrari, feeling being in the Ferrari. And so then how did that unfold? Well, eventually that got me to the place where I was like, you know what, I'm going to go start test driving cars. Now, we don't have Ferrari dealerships where I'm from, Victoria, BC, but we do have a lot of other dealerships, including Porsche dealerships. And I would, my buddy and I would, every Monday we went and just had fun. We just go test drive a couple of cars. Long story short, one day I get to a particular dealership. Actually, I'll add this one more point. I go to Mercedes, and Mercedes says, "What car are you looking for?" Now, I don't know anything about cars, so I've never been a car person, so I don't know what to say. And so I was like, "Well, I'm looking for a feeling." He had no idea what to do with that. He had no idea what to do that. But I'm looking for a feeling. I'm looking for this feeling that I created while I was getting into my Ferrari for the last few months, right? And so as I was going around, I ended up going to a BMW, an Audi dealership, go downstairs to their car lot, and here is this beautiful 2021 red Porsche GTS coupe. And it had 10,000 kilometers on it. It was used for sale. It was used for like 6 months. And I immediately, the moment I saw it, I harmonized with it. The moment I saw it, I felt the feeling. And I was like, that's the car. That's the car. And then, of course, went and sat in it, turned it on. It sounded like the car that I created in my imagination. It felt like it. It was red. It was awesome. So, yeah, I had Ferrari instead of Porsche. But everything else was the same. And ultimately, the Porsche is the right car for me. I couldn't test drive it that night because it was too close to close. So they said, come back tomorrow. So I went back, and on my way, you got to listen to your intuition. And this is a big, big, big lesson that I've learned, is really honing in on using your intuition to your power, to your benefit. As I was on my way to the Audi dealership to go test drive this car, my intuition went off and said, go to Porsche. And I already started building a relationship there. And so I walked in, and Wes says, hi, I was just thinking about you. And I go over there, I tell him what I was designing, that I was going to go test drive this car. And he said, well, you're not going to believe it. We just got a new allocation for a 2022 Porsche full scale GTS. And I had mentioned to him, the only problem with this one at Audi is that it's a coupe instead of a full size. And I need a full size for all my sports, my skiing, and my traveling. He said, well, you're not going to believe it. One just became available. Now, this doesn't happen. I asked him, when was the last time this happened? He said, over 2 years ago. We haven't seen this for over 2 years. And there's a 2-year wait list to get a Porsche right now, from a brand new Porsche. And what happens is you put your name down, you put a deposit, and then they call you when it's time to design the car. And then it's ready in about 5 months. And so they called somebody, and the guy canceled. And then I walked through the door, and he's like, well, this just became available. It won't last more than 24 hours, 48 hours, longer. It had already been about 48 hours or so since the guy, 44, oh no, it was 40 hours. He looked back, he said, it's been 40 hours since the guy canceled his allocation, and it was going to last maybe another day. And he was right, because I said yes. Okay, I went and test drove the car, slept on it, called him the next day. Now, I would not recommend sleeping on this again, ever. That was the one thing that I could have made a mistake on, is actually sleeping on it, because I knew the answer. I didn't need to sleep on it. And so next time I'll be even faster at making this decision. But I slept on it, called Wes the next day, and I said, hey, still available? He said, yes. And I said, I'll take it. Now, the cool thing is that I didn't have any money to be able to buy that car. $180,000 car. I didn't have any money to buy it. I had 10 grand that I could borrow to put down as a deposit, and that was it. Car's outside in my driveway here. And I now am a person that owns and drives a Porsche. It's that easy to convert mental energy into physical reality. But you have to say yes, and you have to be prepared to say yes to an opportunity. There's no luck there. I put it out there into the universe. The universe came back to me and said, you want it? Because you can have it if you want it. And I said yes. Now, how I make decisions, one last point, because this is really critical. How I made that decision is A, B, choose. Do you want it or don't you? Well, yes, I do. Okay, now you want it. Go ahead. A, B, choose. Are you going to say yes or no? The opportunity to say yes has the greatest level of unknowns for me. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what life looks like as a Porsche driver. I don't know what life looks like as owning a $180,000 car. I don't know what I'm going to have to do or what opportunities are going to be created or anything. But I do know what happens if I say no. Life stays the same. And so I make a decision. This is how I make decisions. I go after the most unknowns, the most uncomfortable. If you can make decisions like that, you'll always be growing because growth occurs in the uncomfortable zone. Goals go to die in the comfort zone.
Oh. Wow. You must have some pretty like unshakable faith.
Yeah, it's getting there. It was pretty shaky on Friday, or Thursday night. It was Thursday night. Yeah, it's pretty shaky. But yeah, no, I'm getting better.
Good for you, Darcy. That's very inspiring, man. I love that. I love that. And I think that's all things that we can all relate to. The fear, the unknown, sometimes the not even having what you need right now in order to make something happen, but stepping forward anyway with that faith. Whew, you give me chills, man. That's wild.
That's great.
Well, any other questions? I've got one more for Darcy, but any other questions from anybody? Well, Darcy, what advice would you have to anybody who's either just starting out with visualizations or maybe finds like visualizing difficult? Well, what advice would you have as to like how they can start a practice like that, or what would the first step be?
Is anybody finding that on this call? Like you're having a hard time with visualizing? Yeah. Janelle, what do you want to unmute Janelle and we'll do a little exercise together?
Oh boy. All right.
Do we have time, Matt, for
I do, yeah.
3 to 5 minutes? Okay. What time is it? 11:16. All right. Janelle, what do you want? What's your goal?
I have a lot of goals, which I'll okay. Let's
Your primary
say
one that scares the heck out of you. The
my
biggest
primary
one.
I want to own my own business and quit my day job.
Great. Awesome. And do you have an idea of what that own business looks like? Like what it is that you want to do?
Yeah, it started as a short-term rental management company.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And so as a short-term rental management company, you help people with Airbnbs get into like purchasing Airbnbs or managing Airbnbs?
All of it. Currently, we're cleaning. We want to manage and then purchase and have our own as well.
Nice. Okay, awesome. And so as you say that, do you see, like, what do you see when you just said that?
I see the cleaning business that's already operating and like clients that we already have. And I see potential properties.
Potential properties, like how do you see them? Are they like on an MLS listing or are they just properties
like I just see like a vision of like a condo or just like the outside of a building. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you see like an outside of a building, of a condo building, you can kind of see the inside of a condo building, maybe a view from the condo because do you have a particular style of property that you want to rent out and support people renting out?
I mean, as you say that, things pop into my head.
Yeah. Cool. So you can okay. So like if you were in a condo right now, like close your eyes for just a second. And like if you were in a condo right now and it's like one of the nicest condos in your portfolio with your clients, and it's, you're standing at the sink. And of course, in nice condos, the sink is there's a beautiful window above the sink. And then you like look out onto this gorgeous view. What does that view look like?
It's the river, Saskatchewan River.
Mm.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Now, imagine me walking into the kitchen and standing beside you, and I put a stack of $100 bills on the counter. Can you see that?
Yep.
Right. I want you to start counting the stack. So pick up the stack and then just start counting them. And tell me how many bills are in that stack.
It's just a lot, hundreds.
Hundreds of
going.
bills in the stack.
Yeah.
Okay, so like count out 20 of them.
Okay.
Okay, now put that 20 beside the larger stack and then break up the larger stack so that they're all the same size. How many stacks do you have?
15.
15. So that would mean you've got 300 bills, right? So you've got $3,000 in that stack. All right, now I want you to go and deposit that in the bank because it's yours. So how easy was that for you? We're done now. How easy was that for you to see the house, see the condo, see the view, and then I walked into the kitchen with the stack, and then you saw the stack and you counted it, you broke it up into 6 pieces. Turns out there was $3,000 in that stack. What was that experience for you?
It was like, it's interesting because I think I judge myself on like how I visualize because it's not super clear. Like none of that was super clear, but yet I could go through the motions of what, do you know what I mean? Like I couldn't see you actually, and I couldn't see like in detail anything, but I could still like visualize what the steps were, you know? Does that make
Sense it,
sense?
maybe.
Yeah. I think, and so then when I visualize, I feel like I'm not doing a very good job because I'm not like, it doesn't feel very vivid and like clear.
Can you tell me about, what did you do this weekend?
I
Something
was in
that you don't mind sharing.
Waskesiu. I was in
Pardon me?
Waskesiu. I was in
Waskesiu.
Waskesiu for the weekend. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Never heard of it. What's it like?
It's cold.
It's cool. So you were wearing like some pretty heavy clothes and staying warm?
We were staying
As-
warm, yeah.
As you think about your weekend, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Because you experienced it in your
Mhm.
3-dimensional reality.
Yeah.
I want you to start affirming that you can see future visualizations to the same extent that you can see past memories, and then start remembering your future. Look at visualizations not as something that you're creating in your mind in the future, but as a memory that you're remembering of your future.
Okay.
And then the more you do that, like any muscle, the better it'll be. You'll be at doing it.
Thank
Our
you.
minds are muscles. You're welcome. Our minds are muscles. We have to exercise them. Sometimes we have to break them. Like muscles, you have to stretch them and break the muscle, in order for it to heal bigger. And that's what we got to do. We got to push ourselves to the breaking point.
That's a great affirmation, actually, that I can create images in my mind and see them as clearly as past ones that I've actually lived. And I think sometimes, yeah, anytime we have a belief like that, and then we continue to tell ourselves that belief over and over and over again, we just create our own little roadblock there sometimes too, don't we?
Yeah.
We
it's
just
a belief,
we just
right?
continue to perpetuate that.
I'm not a good visualizer. That's just a belief. I am a good visualizer. Just a belief. One will produce results we're looking for and the other won't.
Good point. Well put. That's awesome. Well, yeah, any other questions? Does that bring up anything else for anybody here? Or any comments or questions? I was counting my cash there too, Janelle. I was like, oh, just whoop, whoop, whipping through that, stacking them on my counter. It was awesome. I love that. Very cool. Well, hey, on behalf of everybody, Darcy, I want to thank you for your time today, but also your wisdom and for sharing some of your experiences with us. That was awesome. I mean, I always love the opportunity to connect with you. I know we've been doing our mastermind together for about 18 months. I also had Darcy as a reading partner where we've been reading Napoleon Hill, Neville Goddard, Thomas Troward, I think Wallace D. Wattles was on our list one time too. And so, I've had the opportunity to learn from Darcy, and I'm honored that he was able to come here with us. So again, thank you, Darcy. It's been
You're
a
welcome.
pleasure, man. And maybe this is something we could have you back again, because I sure loved having you here today.
Yeah, it's been an absolute honor, and I really appreciate the invitation. Thank you. If I could leave with one final idea that I could place, it's a new lesson that I've learned, and that is that if you don't ask, you're already at a no. So before you ask, you're already at a no. That's what it is. Before you ask, you're already at a no. So if you have something that you want to do, like give your phone number to a prospect or potential mate or anything, before you ask, you're already at a no. And so this reason why I bring this up is because when we ask, we are fearful of putting ourselves forward in doing whatever it is, to call a prospect or to do whatever it is. And we're fearful because we're fearful of the criticism. We're fearful of the no. We're fearful of the rejection. But this idea eliminates rejection. It eliminates the idea of rejection, because before you ask, you're already at a no. So by asking, if you get a no, there's actually no change. There is no rejection. The only possibility by taking the shot is that you might get it in. Michael Jordan said, if you miss, or was it Michael Jordan? No, it was Wayne Gretzky. You miss every shot you don't take. And Michael Jordan missed 9,000 shots over his career. He failed 9,000 times, but yet he's the best basketball player ever. So let's not be afraid of the fear of the failure. Let's not be afraid of the no. Let's just put our focus on the yes and get after it.
Yeah, that's a really great reminder. And Darcy and I were actually talking about this a couple of days ago. And as he was describing that, it kind of dawned on me that, well, if I'm already at a no and asking only opens up the opportunity for a yes, well, then there really is no such thing as rejection.
No.
I'm already at rejection. I'm already there. And if just asking gives me an opportunity to change or experience something better or something different, it's like that really removes that whole idea of rejection. And that idea alone, I think, is enough to stop a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful, Darcy.
Thanks for having me today, Matt. Thanks everybody for listening as well, and for participating. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, you guys. Thanks, Darcy, and thanks everybody for joining us today. That was excellent. So hope to have you back again someday, Darcy.
Would love it. Thanks, Matt. This was fun.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.